In our lesson on Introduction to Arrays, we created an array of type double and hard-coded some values into it for donations that have been made. And then we used a for loop to go through each of those items in the array. And that works fine. However, there's another type of iterative loop that's designed specifically for iterating through the values of a collection. And that is called a foreach loop. And the structure of a foreach loop is the word for each, and then in parentheses, a variable which is typed, so you need a data type and the variable in, and then whatever the collection is, or in this case, the array. And each time through the loop, it will take each value as it iterates through the different elements, and we can use that variable then inside the loop. So in our case here, rather than using a for loop, where we're using donations element I in several locations, we could rewrite this with a foreach loop. And in the foreach loop, I created a variable called amount, which is of type double. So this data type needs to match the data type of the array. In donations, which is the name of my array. And then total is simply going to be incremented by amount. Highest is going to equal amount if amount is greater than highest, otherwise it'll equal highest. And lowest will equal amount if amount is less than lowest, otherwise it will equal lowest. It's not necessarily more efficient, it's just a little bit cleaner way of writing it, and you're going to see this as you look at other people's code and wondering what is a foreach loop. That's what it is. Let's look at another example in C#. I've created an application called foreach demo, and I'm going to show you two examples of using a foreach loop. One is I have a string that the user enters, and I have my cat has fleas as the default text. And then this button will take that text and reverse it and show the reverse string as well as the original string. So let's just take a look at the code. So here's the code for that button, and it's going to take the text from txt string control, put it into a variable called myString. I then have another string variable called reverse, which equals a null string. And then here's my foreach. And a string is actually comprised of characters, and those characters are indexed in that string. So we can say for each character data type, char data type, letter in my string, I'm going to have reversed equals the letter plus reversed. And then I'm going to create a prompt of the string and my original string, and then the next line I have a new line character, reversed is, and the reversed, and I'll show that in a message box with the title being reverse string. Let me run that. And so I click the button, we get the string my cat has fleas reversed is, you see that string reversed in the prompt. The second example I have an array called names of type string, and I have a list of names here. We're going to say these are students in my class, and I want to know what the average length is of the first names of those students in the class. So I'm going to create a variable called total chars of type integer equals 0, and then here's my foreach loop. So for each string name in names, so those are two different variables. Names is an array and name is a string variable. I'm going to take total chars and increment it by the length of the name. And in the foreach loop, it's going to go through each of the names in that collection or in that array. Then I'm going to find the average length by taking the total chars. I'm going to convert that to a double and divide that by the length of names. How many names are there in that array? And make that a double as well, so I get a double value, floating point value, and I'm going to show that in a message box. The average length of the first names is, and take average length dot toString. I'm going to take one decimal, so n1, and then my title is average length. Again, let me run this and we can watch what happens. So the average length of the first names is 6.3. So those are some examples how we can use foreach to go through the items in an array We can also use for each for other collections that we'll talk about later on, array lists, dictionaries, and so forth. And then I can also use for each in going through the characters of a string. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the C# Xamarin Programming Cohort playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos that I create, you can click my picture up in the top right and subscribe to the channel.